Welcome in, and Carlos Alcaraz. Mr. Alcaraz just won the French Open, and I want to talk about something that's semi-related to this. I just looked it up, and it's exactly what I thought it was. Carlos Alcaraz started playing tennis, started playing professional tennis. In other words, on the Challenger Tour. It was actually mostly on the Challenger Tour and the Futures Tour when he was 15, 16 years old, as most of them do. And what actually reminded me of this, I was at a tournament. Maybe I'll put the kid up here on the screen. And this kid, 14, I don't know if he was 14 or 15. I know he just graduated 8th grade. So we'll just call him 14 years old. And he reminded me of Carlos Alcaraz. And he played two matches. The first match, he got moonballed like crazy. The second match was almost a moonball session. And the other kid was cheating like crazy and really just having a fit. And I also talk about this in some of my other videos when I talk about where a lot of times where the pusher comes from. And this, a lot of time, I'm not gonna say all the time, but a lot of times this is where it comes from. People make stuff up and say that this is not where it comes from, but this is where it comes from. When players, particularly in this case, we have 14, 15, 16-year-old boys, they're playing kids that are way above their physical level, not their competitive level based on the score. I don't care what the score is. That's why someone, like in this case, moonballs, because they're playing someone who is, they might not admit this, that is physically, biologically outmatching them. They don't belong, and this is what I'm going to get into with Carlos Alcaraz. This 14-year-old kid doesn't know this. And even if he was presented with this, it wouldn't matter because he's not going to do it. Now in Spain, it might be a different story. We're talking about here in the United States. And what I'm talking about is, even though someone who's 14, 15 years old might compete with other 16, 17-year-old kids, even if they're having a hard time winning or if they're competing, they look average, you can spot them and look at them and say, that kid should be playing the futures based on his biological age. What does that mean? That means some 14 or 15-year-olds are precocious. They can play with adults. You could say it's within tennis communities, we could say that it's rare. And it's not just physical, it's all around. And when I was watching this kid, I'm not saying that he would last on the Futures Tour, but if there were those tournaments around here, if he had the resources, if he was able to get in, I would encourage him to go play those tournaments and see what happens. Because nothing good, or even you could even say certain national level tournaments, but to go around and pick at different tournaments and things like that, it's just a difficult process if you don't know what you're doing. But the main point I wanted to make was, that's why someone like Carlos Alcaraz would have done that at 15. They're not going to waste their time scrapping with 15, 16-year-old boys who are just going to moonball them all day long and make tennis look like it's never going to look in the future. And they know that. That's why they bypass it completely. And, I would just encourage people that are watching this to consider that, because I think it's an interesting phenomena. I think it's something that people are getting wrong all the time, and unfortunately that's part of the reason why we have these junior tournaments that are a complete mess, because it's not about the score. It's not about that UTR and the score. None of that matters. It's about kids. It's about and if you have asked the kid, it's about having fun. It's about playing tennis. It's about playing good tennis. And the kid I'm talking about, he knows what good tennis is. He's there to play. He's not there to. It's not all about winning and losing. So I'm gonna end this video right there. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.